Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Chop the Rock. I am Diana Long, Director of River Market Operations, and our guest chef this week is Kelly Bass, Executive Director of Museum of Discovery.
Thanks for having me, Diana.
Welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Sure.
So at the museum, y'all don't really have a restaurant or cook a lot, but you do the science of cooking sometimes.
We do. There's a ton of science in cooking. You know, it's all the way things transform, the way proteins break down, all of that. So while we do a little bit of that in our camps. We have summer camps that are very popular. In fact, you need to get on and sign up at museumdiscovery.org if you haven't already. And then we also are a regular stop on the Clinton Center's culinary camps that they do each summer. And then at our Science After Dark event, which is our really popular adults-only event, we have usually at least one of those a year. We do 9 of those a year. The last Thursday of each month, January through September, is food-based.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you also are a really good home cook.
Well, I like to cook. I've been a foodie and a restaurant guy. I've reviewed restaurants around this town. It was funny, I was walking by Ariana's Pizza smelling how good it smelled and realized I wrote the review when it opened in 1988.
Oh, wow.
So I've been around for a while. Yes.
And
yes.
so have they.
Yeah, so have they.
They
That's a good
have.
sign in the
That's
restaurant
right.
business.
It is,
Yeah.
So what are we cooking today here? You've got a great looking pasta dish for us.
I just call it shrimp pasta toss. It's something I kind of developed when I was on Weight Watchers and looking for ways to have really good food that didn't burn a lot of Weight Watchers points, which kind of equals calories. So this is a very versatile dish too. I've chosen, shrimp's always there for me. Doesn't have to be, it could be chicken, it could be something else. And then in this dish, I'm using tomatoes, asparagus, and mushrooms, but suit yourself. I've done it with zucchini, done it with squash, you could use eggplant, you know, anything. I mean, I doubt you'd want to use corn or beans, but most any vegetable that's a similar style. Not hard to make, and again, each very ample serving, as we'll see later, has about 400 calories, which is about like a lean cuisine, or maybe a little more than a healthy choice or a lean cuisine. So
without all the extra sodium that
exactly,
you get in
and
a
it's
frozen.
and preservatives and things, and it's real easy to make.
Well, I'm excited. And you could substitute, you mentioned some of the things that we have at our farmers market when they're in season that you could substitute out, like the zucchini or the eggplant or any
just
number.
really good crook-neck yellow squash works great in it.
Yes,
just anything you'd like to pull out and saute a little bit. And then that's the thing that everybody will see is we're going to, kind of get all these things ready, and then it all comes together back in the pasta pot, and we'll toss it and serve it.
Sounds good. Let's get going.
Okay.
All right.
Well, the first thing we're going to want to do, I'll tell you, I'm going to make you the chopper, if
Gotcha.
that's okay.
All right.
So if you want to work on the mushrooms, and those are so big, I'd go just across, and then I'd maybe go this way a little bit.
Okay,
We
so
want decent size.
chunky dice.
Yeah, and then the same thing on the tomatoes, just cut them in half, basically.
Okay.
Just so they'll have a little more surface area. I'm just going to use it right here. One thing about asparagus, people wonder, about the woody end of it.
Yes.
Sometimes if you just take it, it'll break. In
The
spot
natural break.
The natural break. So I'm going to just bust these off, and we'll get those ready to go. And then we'll chop those up a little bit. Everything you want it to be bite size.
So that it fills a fork.
And I made this just, my wife and I had this just a few days ago. So it was fresh on my mind to talk to those folks in TV land about
That's
something
right.
good to make.
Well, and so many people have so little time for just spending hours and hours in the kitchen, and when you can come up with a dish that's healthy and tasty, and
Sure.
it doesn't take just all day long.
And the one ingredient, and you and I talked about this before we got started, that I didn't mention yet is goat cheese. And you can get it crumbled now. I mean, it's just in the either the deli case or over by the other cheeses. And it comes in a 4-ounce tub, and that whole tub has 320 calories, which when you spread it across, we're making 3 servings. This recipe is easily skinnied up or made bigger, however you want to do it. It's ultimately adjustable by volume.
Good
So
deal.
you're doing a good job chopping. About the time you get done chopping that, we're going to get you to chop up the asparagus.
Gotcha.
Since you got your knife working so well. And I will throw away this leftover asparagus.
Very good.
Which, to be honest with you, if you could save them and you could put them in a stock, or you could use them just for flavoring.
Oh, that is a good
In
point.
this situation, we're probably just going to let them go.
Let them go. But
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a lot of food waste in that goes on because people don't know what to do with
Yeah.
things like that. But there's no reason why you
can
couldn't
just
turn
cook
that into
down
a
as part of a vegetable stock.
Right, or like even a cream of asparagus soup.
Oh yeah, that sounds better all the time.
So while we're chopping these, let's talk a little bit more. Tell us all a little bit more about what y'all have going on. Like I know
Okay.
the museum is for kids, but I've been in there a dozen times and have had just as much fun as an
That's
adult.
one of the big misconceptions that I have to constantly talk to people about. I just had someone this week say, "Oh, well, I haven't been there because my nieces have all grown up." I was like, "You'd have a great time yourself."
Right.
We have plenty of adults who come on their own, and again, our adult night, Science After Dark, which again, the last Thursday of the month, January through September, it's $10, same as normal museum admission, free for members. Some people buy memberships just to get into Science After Dark.
Right,
and
right.
At the museum. We always have a theme, a science theme, and everybody loves that part of it. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and I'm gonna let you just toss it.
We'll go ahead and
roll
put these
those
in here,
there.
okay.
Yeah, we just have a little bit of oil in the pan. We don't really need much because these mushrooms are gonna throw off a bunch of liquid on their own.
They are.
I'm gonna go ahead and get that started.
So we're just gonna saute.
Saute those mushrooms and let them get going. And then if you wanna, we'll cut those in two and then we can just kind of cut
All of
these.
them?
Yeah, all
Okay.
of them. So adults love the Museum of Discovery. Sometimes you watch mothers and fathers kind of elbowing their kid out of the way to get on exhibits.
Exactly.
But you know, our mission is to ignite a passion for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, or STEAM education. People always talk about STEM, but really arts are a big part of it these days, particularly with design. You know, with computers, iPhones are about design, you know, and apps are about
Absolutely.
design, games are about design. So we really, and we do a lot of arts-based activities. We have a really cool place in the museum called the Tinkering Studio, where every day we have an activity that's a hands-on making activity, and we have dozens of them that we alternate, usually by the month. So it just gives something fresh beyond our 90 permanent hands-on interactive exhibits for folks to do. And then we have special events. Just every January we do Star Wars Science. We had about 1,500 people who came recently for that. We have Tinkerfest, which is our biggest day of the year. We have usually 3,000 to 3,500 folks. That's when the kind of activities we do in the Tinkering Studio take over the entire museum.
And spill out into the street.
Hell yeah, we have about 3 blocks that are 3 blocks of street
right.
that are cordoned off, and we have the kind of things you want to do outside, make big messes, blow things up, you know, the kind of stuff that we get a little nervous about doing in the museum itself.
Right. You don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and turn
Yeah.
our water on for
Let's get
our.
the pasta going. You can put that on pretty much high, I think. And then let's go ahead and get this going. We're just going to blanch this asparagus after Diana gets it cut up.
Yes.
Keep moving on the tomatoes. I could probably be helping, as a matter of fact. Looks like there's.
You've got a great story to tell.
I got a chopping thing right here. Yeah. So again, then we have a big spring, our fall fundraiser. We have other events that we have sponsors for, but they don't feel like fundraisers because we're not asking you to buy a special ticket.
Right.
You don't have to dress up. We don't have to, rent tables and chairs and have a caterer.
But sometimes you want to do that, and that's when Spark comes
Spark,
in.
and that's this year in 2018. That's going to be the second Tuesday in November. We
Okay.
normally on the first Tuesday, but there's some pretty important elections will be happening that day.
You are correct.
And so we decided, why make people decide if they want to stay home and watch election returns or if they want to come to Spark. So that's something that we're going to do.
That's a good thing to think about
so
there.
we moved it. So that's a big fun event.
Okay, we have tomatoes ready.
Yep.
So I also love about this recipe that you're sharing with us is that this is very much a one pot kind of dish.
Yeah.
Like all in all, we're going to dirty up 3 pots here.
Yeah, we're going to get these cooked down, and then we're going to do the asparagus and we're going to get the asparagus blanching over here. Did we get that started yet? We did
Not. So in the big pot in the back, we put just about 1/4 of an inch of water in there, and so then once that comes up to a pretty good boil, blanching is when you just throw something in just long enough, like maybe a minute or two, and that's it.
2 or 3. People vary in their taste on asparagus. Like pasta, like asparagus, like green beans. I like mine a little more cooked, a
Gotcha.
little more southern style. But it won't take long at all on those. We'll get the mushrooms kind of down, and then we'll throw the tomatoes in there. And that's the thing about this dish too. Then we'll do the shrimp, and the shrimp are really quick too. But you kind of just cook something, put it to the side, and it'll all come together at the end.
Right.
So
You
it's
can
pretty
toss
easy.
it back, and
Yeah.
the ambient heat from what you've just cooked warms it all the way through. It's
Yeah,
perfectly
yeah.
the
The
right
hot pasta
temp.
kind of takes care of things
Right, right,
and
right.
helps melt the goat cheese too. So we'll be in good shape.
That does sound like
Yeah.
good shape. So one of the other things we were just talking about Spark. Y'all do some like some science related? There's some awards that y'all give out to some folks in the community for their
Yeah,
work.
that's part of Spark. We honor Spark stars, who are Arkansans who've had successful careers in fields that required the intensive study of science, technology, engineering, and math primarily. And a lot of them are not well known. Some are better known. And then we end up having a luncheon that we do the week before Spark, where we honor them and let them talk a little bit about what ignited their passion. Because our mission is to ignite a passion for what we call STEAM education. So these folks who all had successful careers as engineers, computer programmers, doctors, researchers, chemists, something along the way ignited their passion. Otherwise, they'd have been like me and been an English major sitting under a tree reading a novel instead of going to physics and differential equations. I think we've about got these done. Let's now throw the tomatoes in there.
Okay. All right, so one of the things that I really, Kathy Webb did a show with us when the very, very first one we did, Hunger Relief Alliance, and she was amazing. And I had kind of bought these just for the convenience of it because of the storage. And she's the one that brought us this one that you're using here. But one of the things that we discovered, and how I bought them for home too, is you can get these great little cutting plastics. Yeah, as opposed to a cutting board. They come color coded, so the green ones are for vegetables, the yellow ones are chicken, the blue ones are fish, the red ones are beef, so that you don't ever have any kind of cross contamination issue.
Great idea.
They're super cheap.
I think I've just added something to my shopping list because
Right.
I get sick of on the boards
then
too. Yeah,
this,
just pour them in there. In
like
fact,
we
I'm about
just
to put
did.
this asparagus in right
Isn't
now.
that wonderful?
Yeah, because you know, in the cutting boards too, you want to make sure they're clean. They don't fit well in the dishwasher. So
Yep.
I'm all the time scrubbing them, you know, and they kind of get to looking funky. Sometimes we take some sandpaper and just kind of take the top layer off.
Yeah.
Oh, these are going well. This is a great stove. I mean, I would say I need to take this home, but it'd be tough to get it up to my condo.
I would imagine that would take up quite
Yeah.
a lot of space in the elevator.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so we'll get this stuff going. And pasta is about ready to throw in. we're
So
rocking.
you'll notice that the one thing with this dish is that it is not going to be just super laden with a bunch of salt or a bunch.
No.
It's going to be, you know, these tomatoes make their own juices. The mushrooms kind of make their own juices.
Right.
The pasta will be a little bit moist. You're going to put a little bit of garlic and
A
Italian.
little garlic powder, a little Italian seasoning. We'll season up the shrimp. In fact, we can do that anytime you're ready.
Anytime.
Do we have one of these we'd like to use for that?
Sure. There should be.
We got a red one.
there's-
Yeah,
If
you
there's
know
not
that.
we can take this one.
We'll just go with that one.
There we go.
So I've got about a ½ pound of shrimp. I just, you know, buy them frozen and then let them thaw and get them peeled. I didn't bother us taking our time showing people how to peel shrimp because I figure everybody kind of knows that.
But
This is a
please
little-
don't
this is
forget
a-
to peel them.
This is about 8 ounces. No, don't forget to peel. This is about 8 ounces of shrimp. And we're
Okay.
going to take some garlic powder. So we're just going to shake a little garlic powder. And this is the same thing as far as being versatile. Don't like garlic, don't like Italian seasonings, put whatever you want.
Maybe some Cajun seasonings
Yeah, you
would
can do
be
some
really
Cajun
good on there if
seasonings.
that's
I'm
what
gonna
you
get a little bit
like.
of garlic powder on these. Maybe more than a little bit. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Italian seasoning. You can tell I like mine. I buy it in the big kahuna here. Whoa, a little more than I needed. It's all right. It's cheap. We can waste a little bit.
There you go.
And then we're going to finish it off with a little bit of salt and pepper.
Just a tad.
Should move those tomatoes around just a little bit.
Got it, you
Thank
got it.
you. Same thing with salt and pepper. Some people's like, I have a friend who doesn't salt anything because he says you can always salt it after it comes out, which is true. But I know this dish and I know our taste buds and we'll salt and pepper.
Ooh, so our water is also ready for our pasta. So I'm going to go
Great.
ahead and put that in there.
Yep, and that's 6 ounces of pasta. This is 3 servings worth. So we have 4 ounces of goat cheese, which is what comes, 6 ounces of pasta, 8 ounces of shrimp, and then just a thing of asparagus. The Nature Sweet tomatoes, which I'll adore. They just seem to have when I buy from the farmer's market when they're in season tomatoes. But when they're not in season, the Nature Sweets have more tomato taste than any that I've found.
Yes.
And then we're using the baby bellas, the baby portobello mushrooms, but any mushroom would do.
Right, so whatever your preference.
Yeah.
Although I have to say that the baby, any kind of portobello is just going to have that meaty texture
They do,
and that
they got
rich
this-
flavor.
Yeah. Oh, these are just about there too.
Yeah, those are perfect. They look great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so we've cooked our mushrooms and we've cooked our tomatoes,
Yes.
and we've got those kind of just combined in the pot, just setting off to the side where we can keep them warm.
Right.
At this point, we're just waiting on our pasta.
And we're about to do our shrimp.
So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Ranked among the nation's best value cities for travel and its most travel-worthy state capitals, Little Rock is known for its southern charm and hospitality. Request a vacation planning kit at littlerock.com and see why we say getaways are better with a southern accent.
We are back. We have prepared our tomatoes and we've prepared our mushrooms, and they're kind of sitting a little bit.
We got the asparagus blanching, we got the pasta boiling, and we're about to do the shrimp.
And we are about to do the shrimp, but we have a
Yes.
couple more minutes left on our pasta. So while we do, since the shrimp really only takes
Couple of minutes.
couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And so we want everything to be good and fresh and warm. And so there's a couple of things that we wanted to talk about with Museum of Discovery that we have not mentioned yet. So let me go ahead and stir
Pasta.
our pasta.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna turn it down just a hair.
You don't want it to boil over. It won't hurt anything, but
Doesn't make for pretty TV though.
it does, and nobody wants to clean up that mess
Exactly.
afterwards. We're going to be full from our great meal that we've had here. So, okay, so you guys have y'all did a huge renovation several years ago.
We did it. We closed. We got a $9.2 million grant from the Reynolds Foundation, Donald W. Reynolds Foundation. We raised 1.8 match locally, and then we closed the museum in April of 11 and reopened in January of 12. So we've now been open for 6 years as this new museum, and our attendance has been way higher.
It's amazing the difference
Yeah, it's
between
about
two different museums.
It is about 60% higher attendance, and we also continue to draw school field trips from all over. We had 158,000 people who came to the museum in 2016. I haven't seen all the 17 numbers yet, but we of that 158,000, 60,000 of them were school children on field trips. Doesn't count when the kids come on the weekends. Doesn't count when the kids come in the summer. And they came from 62 of the 75 counties in Arkansas and 9 other states. But one thing that did not get renovated when we did the big renovation in 2011 was Room to Grow, which is our gallery for our 6 and under crowd. And we have a ton of 6 and unders.
Yes.
About 58% of the kids 1 to 12 who come, not on field trips, but just come as public admission, are 6 and younger. So we just put some money and time into that. We reopened Room to Grow the week of Thanksgiving of 2017. And I just did some numbers. Our membership sales, our attendance have gone through the roof for the end of November and for December. And then we do events, outside the museum. Not everything we do is inside the walls. So we have, of course, Tinkerfest, we've already talked about. We have an event in May called Mestival. It's the art and the science of making messes. And kids love it because the parents are like, hey, you're going to make a mess and not be in trouble.
Right.
And you don't have to clean it up, and we don't have to clean it up.
And we don't either,
So
yeah.
we have all kinds of cool stuff out in the streets, big foam explosions and all kinds of crazy things. So it's a whole bunch of fun too. And then something we're super excited about, and depending on when folks see this show, April 7th, 2018, the Museum of Discovery will be the presenting body for Springfest, which, in 2016, Riverfest split into 2 parts. Springfest took all the family fun activities and made it a free event.
Yes.
Free family event here in the River Market, in the
Wildly popular.
Riverfront Park, the amphitheater, and the pavilions. And the Convention and Visitors Bureau has been very generous to us to let us do that again without any cost to the museum. Because after Riverfest went down for the count, so to speak, people were, what's going to happen with Springfest? Because it's such a great festival and it's free and family fun. So we have taken that over with the help of at least 60, maybe closer to 90 folks who worked on Riverfest, who, to be frank and honest about it, they miss each other. They didn't used to have to think about when am I going to see Bob or when am I going to see Sally, because they had meetings all year about Riverfest. Well, now Riverfest is gone and they're helping with Springfest. So that's
fantastic.
Saturday, April the 7th, and we hope to have 25 to 30,000 people. We've got the Super Retriever Series, we've got bounce houses, we've got rock climbing walls, we've got Rough on the River Puppy Parade.
Yes.
We've got all kinds of Museum of Discovery related hands-on activities, kind of replacing some of the traditional arts and crafts. We'll still have face painting and some things like that, but Heifer's going to be there with us, Game and Fish, a lot of other kind of area partners. So we're super excited about Springfest.
I know that as soon as that was announced, everybody was like, "Oh, thank goodness we're not going to lose this," because families, it was a hit from the first time they had Springfest.
Sure.
They had more people attend than they ever could have expected.
And it went up a lot the second year, and we hope it does the third year.
Yes.
We hope
so-
attaching the Museum Discovery brand will help, because we're known as a family-friendly, fun place to go.
Absolutely.
And this really harkens back to what Riverfest was originally. I mean, it ended up being big rock and country shows, and that's great. I love music. But for the families, it really kind of got priced out because of how expensive the bands are these days.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely
anyway.
outrageous.
So we're excited. So we got a lot of great stuff going on. I think
am excited.
I think we're about ready to pull off our
Think so?
asparagus.
All
Let's let
right.
the pasta go a little bit longer, and I'm just going to drain that right on top of everything else we got going
Perfect,
on, because it
okay.
all is going to work together. Need this.
So, I think a lot of times people might find that when you're thinking about a certain attraction in Little Rock, that it's brick and mortar and you just go inside and do whatever the activities are that they have year round. But that is probably one of my favorite things about Museum of Discovery is they do such a great variety, not only of traveling exhibits that come in and out of the museum, which are always really cool and full of interest, but the activities that y'all have done to involve the adults with the Science After Dark,
Sure.
which for me, I don't have any children, so
Oh, it's a great way.
it's a fantastic one. I've been to a couple of them and had so much fun.
Well, I'll tell you, we started that event in 2012, and we averaged 61 adults per 10 times we did it that year. We do it 9 now. In 2016, again, I haven't crunched all the 17 numbers yet, we averaged 550 people.
Yeah, it's packed.
It's
People
packed.
are lined up for the whole entire block to get in, and it is just such a great thing. But y'all just do so many fun things and kind of keep that creativity level going with introducing new fun things. But you also do things on the fly. So this year, we had an eclipse.
Yes, we did.
And so the Museum of Discovery said this is a perfect time. Everybody is looking to get out and see it. We can use this as a fun way to get people into the museum, also teach them a little bit
Right.
behind the science of how this goes.
We did. We called it Eclipnic because it was like a picnic with an eclipse. People
That's
brought
right.
lunches, and we had more than 1,000 people. We ordered glasses, approved eclipse glasses from the internet, and it got rough down at the end. People were begging just to buy the glasses because everybody wanted to see. So that was really fun. We're already planning. I think we're 7 years or 6 years out from the next one.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I think we're ready to do our shrimp.
Okay, great.
So I put a little bit of oil in the pan. You can just, if you really want to be watching the calories, you can just use Pam or any other kind of vegetable spray.
And this is a non-stick skillet. All our skillets
Right.
in here are
And I'll tell you what I'm going to do,
non-stick,
because I don't want to throw all that extra stuff in there. I'm just going to scoop these
so
up,
that for you.
toss them in. Thank you. And these are going to cook up really fast.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is overcook shrimp.
Yes.
So really just kind of toss them around in there, keep them moving until they turn that really pretty pink color.
Yep, kind of opaque. And I
take
usually,
them off
I
the
usually,
heat.
I usually flip them once. It makes me sad when I see people particularly they'll boil shrimp and boil shrimp and boil shrimp. One key when you're boiling shrimp, generally speaking, when they float to the top, they're ready to go. All right. So Diana's going to move the vegetables. And again, one more time, substitute anything that you like in the terms of vegetables. I just happen to pick the ones that I like, which are asparagus, tomatoes, and mushrooms. Portobello's, as a matter of fact. Excuse me, those shrimp are cooking up fast and good.
Where is this? Okay, so just to show y'all, and these are plenty hot. They are still very much steaming. But look how pretty that is and how color. And I'm glad you like these vegetables because these are the ones I like too.
I'm telling you, all those vegetables in that pan right there, considering we just sauteed them, there might be 100 calories in there, which
That's right.
which is less than a bag of chips.
Set that back there
Yeah,
so it keeps warm.
less than a really small bag of chips.
But
Yeah.
Small bag of baked chips,
Yes.
which aren't even that good.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to just get these flipped over one time.
All right.
and we're going to be good to go. Because
So
by the time I get them
maybe-
all flipped, they're going to be ready to pull off.
That's right, yeah. I mean, it might have taken 45 seconds for them to get
Yep.
good and done on that one side. We do have some tongs over here and some,
All right, I think I got it, but
there we go. Those look great.
oh, it's going to be tasty. I'm going to go ahead and just cut that heat because we're not going to need it. All right, one more flip. And I tell you, we're ready to bring it all together here in about 1 minute, if not less.
Perfect.
And the other thing is I probably overused the vegetables because, again, it just provides a lot of good nutrition and almost no calories. So you can back those off for if you like a proportions that are a little bit less veggie heavy than this, but that's what I went for.
But if you are kind of watching and, trying to eat healthy, which a lot of people do that, then adding the vegetables, like you said, is a great way to extend the serving sizes so that
Exactly.
you can get more.
Pour the pasta in there. We're going to pour the shrimp in there. We're going to take the goat cheese. And let's go ahead and get it moving around a little bit before we put it in there.
You may stir while you
Yeah, you
shake.
stir while I
Okay.
just put a little of this in there. Just keep it moving around. Get that goat cheese underneath it a little bit.
So it'll get in there and melt.
It'll
I
get in
was
there and
so-
cream this up nicely.
I have to say, the first time I was at a grocery store and saw the goat cheese crumbled, I was beside myself excited because,
Oh yeah, look at that.
oh, and it smells so good.
This is some good stuff, folks.
And goat cheese has a lot of flavor.
Yeah, and it's really low calorie compared to a lot of cheese. It's 80 calories an ounce, or no, 80 calories an ounce, which is much less than some cheeses.
Wow, I hope y'all can get that shot from above. It's
Yeah.
like steaming up our mirror up there, but
Yeah.
just in case, check
Yep.
that out.
You want to put some in some bowls, and you see that's 3 servings. And you look how we're not going to even put a whole serving in there. But go ahead and heap it up pretty good.
Well, like I saved up. I didn't even eat breakfast today because
Perfect.
I knew that we were going to be.
I had a little bit of cottage cheese with applesauce, so I didn't have a lot either. All right, we'll do another one.
May actually just.
Go for it.
And it would also be really pretty if
Yep.
you're doing this at home and you wanted to garnish it a little bit.
Yeah, you can use a little bit of fresh parsley on this. I'm just finishing it off with a little bit of freshly grated Parmesan. And I'm a believer in life's too short to buy the pre-grated Parmesan. I mean, you can buy the tubs that are okay, but if you get just the can of it that sits on the shelf, is nothing like this.
The shaker kind's only good for like delivery pizza.
Yeah, maybe. Exactly, or those little packs. But there you go. There you have it. Shrimp pasta toss.
That smells.
Both versatile, and I would say from looking at what we have left, this makes easily 4 servings that size.
Right.
So all of a sudden that backs down to about 300 calories per bowl. So that one's probably about 325. It's about 275.
That just leaves you a little bit of room left over if you wanted to have a nice glass of wine with your
Yeah,
meal.
maybe
and
a
you're
small,
trying to-
maybe just a green salad with a vinaigrette and maybe some crusty bread, and you're good to go. Yeah.
This has been great. I can't wait to try it.
You
Thank
dig in.
you so
Do
much.
we want to actually have a bite right here in front of everybody?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
There's
gonna
no
make sure there's
shame.
a shrimp or a part of a shrimp in your bite.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I'm making sure there's a mushroom in mine.
I want a mushroom and an asparagus.
Tasty.
And light, too.
Yeah.
So that's so good.
Right. Well, again, I think actually I was talking about the proportions. I think the vegetable proportion worked out just great.
I think it worked out fine. It's not too much of any one thing. You
Right.
can get a good bite full of just about everything in every scoop, and so I think that's kind of important for your flavor mix.
Well, I've been on a calorie watching kick here, and we're shooting this in January, and that's a month a lot of people do that. But that whole pot had 1,200 calories, so you can portion out however you want.
Yeah.
And figure out, again, 4 portions is 300 calories, which is about like a lean cuisine, except more of it and tastier.
And there's no preservatives in any
There
of
are
this.
not.
This
And
is
just a
all
little
fresh.
bit of salt. You can always salt and pepper it a little more if you want. We just use a little bit
You
of
don't
salt.
even need it. And I'm a salter, and
Yeah.
you don't even need it.
Well, the cheese brings a saltiness to it.
You're
too.
right. Yeah, it does have a lot of flavor in that goat cheese. So
Great.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
I have learned a lot about the Museum of Discovery today that I didn't know, and I thought
Good.
I already knew a lot
Well,
of
you
things.
do know a lot more than most people. Well, come see us, and I will tell you, it's $8 for kids 12 and younger, $10 above. We have some military discounts and things like that. But a family membership, you can have 2 adults and 3 children who come for an entire year for $85. If you came 2 times, it'd be $88 if you paid regular rate. So
That's right.
we sell a ton of memberships, and we really value our members. You get special invitations to events, exhibit previews. In fact, we're going to have a preview of the exhibit that's there right now, because in our WOW Gallery, we have traveling exhibits that are there usually for 3 or 6 months. We have Mindbender Mansion that opens here January 21st and is open into April.
Into April.
Yeah, and then we'll have another one following right after that. So anytime you come to the museum, there'll be a cool, what we call a temporary or traveling exhibit in the WOW Gallery.
And you can get information about what's going on at the museum, their events, their hours, the traveling exhibits at museumofdiscovery.org.
Yes, and our Facebook page is a very active place
Yes.
for minute-by-minute news.
And what's your Facebook page?
It's just Facebook/MOD.
MOD.
But you
You
search
got
for
it.
Museum of Discovery, you can find it.
Very good. Well, thanks again. We really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Diana.
Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope that you have learned a lot and are motivated to go in and check out our friends just down the street at the Museum of Discovery. It really is fun for the whole entire family. Thanks.